Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. Welcome to Mathematics with Shahab Yaqub. Now in today's video we are focusing on this S1 paper. It's a question about probability and it's from October-November 2012, variant 63. Now whenever a question about probability comes, there are some things which I want to highlight, and that is it's about language, it's about reading, it's about comprehension, and the very last thing that comes, that is about the basic math, which is about plus, minus, divide and multiply. So now in order to get a probability question correct, make sure your language skills are good. Whether you are bilingual or not, you should be able to have a very good understanding of the reading and comprehension. Sometimes you have to toggle between two languages. You might be reading in English and then in your own mother tongue or your national language. So you will be conversing it and you have to break it down. The working is very, very simple because it's only about addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and so on. But the main thing is about reading and comprehension. So now after this pep talk, let's get started with the question. The question says, Ronnie obtained data about the GDP, gross domestic product. So let me highlight this. This is about GDP and it's about the birth rate for 170 countries. Now the very first thing, let me just shift this a little bit to the side. So the very first thing that I need to do before I even move ahead is that focus on the GDP and focus on the birth rate. And this is a very dark color. So let me just change this color for right now. And let me choose this blue color. That is nice. So I would be focusing on the birth rate. And I would be focusing on the GDP. So now there are three categories of each. That is low, medium, high, low, medium, high, low, medium, high. The table shows the number of categories in countries in each category. So now the very first thing what I'll do is that let me add it this way. So 3, 20, 35, 35, 20, 55 plus 3, 58, 8 plus 42, 50 plus 5, 55, 12 plus 45, that is 57. And let me add it horizontally also. This is 53, this is 74, this is 43. Now altogether, whether I add this way or I add this way, it should equal to what? It should equal to 170 because that's the total number of countries. Now the next thing about probability is that probability is dealing with a fraction. There is a numerator, there is a denominator. This all reading and comprehension is about getting the numerator and the denominator correctly. And more importantly, the denominator is something that I focus on the most. Now let's get started with the first part. It says one of these countries is chosen at random. Part 1. Find the probability that the country chosen has a medium GDP. Now medium GDP is this thing, that is 20 plus 42 plus 12. And that is 74, and it's out one of these countries. So this is 1 out of 170. So therefore the numerator is 74, the denominator is 170, and that is how you get this answer. No need of simplification. Keep that in mind. If the examiner has not asked you to simplify, why should you go ahead and simplify? Do not simplify. All good? All clear? Let's move to the second part. Now in the second part, what is it about? The second part, let me do it in blue color. It says find the probability that the country chosen has a low birth rate given it does not have a medium GDP. Now in the second part, if it says it does not have a medium GDP, then what kind of GDP will it have? It could have a low GDP, it could have a high GDP. And when the word given is used, that means it's about conditional probability. Conditional probability question could be based upon a tree diagram. It could be based upon a table as we are looking at it now. It could be based upon sets and Venn diagram. So low and high GDP. So this is low GDP. This is high GDP, 53 plus 43. So that is the denominator. 53 plus 43, that is the denominator based upon GDP. But we are looking for what? We are looking for those which has a low birth rate. So basically low birth rate out of this. So let me first erase something. Just hold for a second. Let me erase this extra dots. And that is why you should always work with a pencil when you are working on your exam paper. I'm talking about the question thing. Any question, any info, any table, any sets or Venn diagram, something like that. Maybe a histogram later on, maybe a CF curve. All this thing, all the annotation part, that has to be done using a pencil. The pen definitely has to be used. That has to be used for working because it says in the top of the exam paper. So now what do we have? We have this thing that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These 6 numbers, these 3 made up 53. These 3 made up 43. So these 6 numbers all together made up this thing which is 96. Now, out of these, which ones are we focusing on? We are focusing on low birth rate. That means we are focusing on this 3. We are focusing on this 35. So let me write 3 plus 35 at the top. So therefore, this is 38 at the top and this is 96 at the bottom. Leave the answer as it is. This answer is exact. There is no need of simplification because the examiner has not asked you to do it. Period. So just leave it as it is. Now let's focus on the third part. So now on the third part, it says state with a reason whether or not the events, the country chosen has a high GDP. So again, let me do a little bit of erasure. So I'm erasing this, everything over here. I'm just erasing it. And I'm focusing on this. It says the country has a medium GDP. No, actually, it's a high GDP. So that's a high GDP, 1, 2, and 3. And the country has a high birth rate. Country has a high birth rate. That is this. So now it says, are these two events exclusive or not? Now this is the common thing. That is high GDP and high birth rate. So third part, that is probability of high GDP and high birth rate, BR. This is 0 over 170. There is nothing in common. There is not a single country which has a high GDP and a high birth rate according to this data. They are asking us, are these two exclusive? The answer is yes, these two are exclusive. Why? So yes, these two are mutually exclusive. That is the proper terminology. And why are they exclusive? They are exclusive because probability of A and B, A intersection B is 0. That is the condition for exclusive. There is nothing in common. So third part is also done. All good, all clear. Go over it once again. Pause the recording. Try it for yourself once again and then look at the answer. Now look at this thing. It's all about division. It's not even simplification. It's addition. It's just thinking of the denominator first, thinking of the numerator. It's about reading, comprehension, and your language skills. Understanding and recalling that given means conditional probability. So over here, the denominator is not 170. The denominator is what they have mentioned after given. And the numerator was chosen out of these 6 numbers, the relevant 2 things. And no need of simplification, that's a rule. And this thing is about the concept of mutually exclusive event. Now we are moving to the last part, and the last part is the most trickiest of all. That is this thing, and this is the fourth part. It says one country, let me again underline it. one country is chosen at random from those countries which have a medium GDP. And then a different country. Now this is the key word. And then. That means first you are choosing from medium GDP, and then a different country is chosen at random from those which have a medium birth rate. Now there are two things that I'm focusing on, and it's about medium GDP. That goes like this. And then I'm focusing on medium birth rate. That is going like this. Okay. So now, first of all, medium GDP is how much? 20, 42, 12, 62, 64, 74. So this is 74. That is medium GDP. Medium GDP. And in blue color, 42 plus 8, 50 and 155. This is what? That is medium birth rate. Now, first of all, the first denominator, let me focus on it very, very clearly. There is going to be two fractions. The first denominator is 74. So the first denominator is 74. That is medium GDP. And the second denominator should be 55. But don't forget to subtract 1 because this is without replacement. So that is the first thing that you need to realize. This is medium birth rate. This is without replacement. The second thing that you need to realize is that order is fixed. First, we are focusing on medium GDP. Then we are focusing, secondly, on medium birth rate. So the order is fixed. You cannot multiply it by 2. That is the first thing. So medium GDP, that's green color. So this is medium GDP, that is green color. That's right over here. And this one is the blue color thing. All good, all clear? Now, what are they asking? They are asking that find the probability both countries chosen have a medium GDP and a medium birth rate. That means this 42 is the common factor. That is 42. Now these 42 countries, they are falling into both the categories. So 42 goes over here and 42 minus 1 goes over here. And that's how this question is done. That is why they are giving us 3 marks for this part. So this is 42 at the top, this is 74 at the bottom, this is 41 at the top, this is 54 at the bottom. Let's multiply it out separately. That is 1722, the numerator, 74 into 54, that is 3996 in the denominator. Leave the answer as it is. Why? Because the answer is exact. Fractions are beautiful. If someone wants to simplify a bit, that's 287 over 66. This is something extra. Or even more extra is someone want to writing in decimals, which I do not encourage. That's 0.431. Take care of the accuracy. So that is how this particular question is done. A very conceptual question. Let's look at the answers. This is, let me just focus on this. This is 1722 over 3996. And then we have this thing is 0 and yes, and it's mutually exclusive. Over here, that's 38 over 96. Over here, this is 74 over 170. So 74 over 170 and 38 over 96. So 74 over 170, 38 over 96. That's good. Intersection is 0. Yes, they are exclusive. And the last one is 1722 over 396. And then some people were over smart. They reduce it. Even more over smart, they work in decimals. So my take is that fractions, that is the supreme thing. So work in fractions wherever possible. Work in fractions, and because fractions are exact, fractions are beautiful. There is no rounding off, and if you really want to round off, then take care of accuracy because you're putting yourself at a great risk. So that's all from Maths with Shahab Yaqub. I hope these questions will help you solidify your concepts of S1 and make you an A-star A student. Stay tuned for more content. And one last thing, in the comments section, I forgot the C, in the comment section. Do let me know how these videos are helping you in your studies. Take care, everyone.